wildlife cameras set along the edge of Yellowstone National Park captured something researchers found difficult to explain in 2018. A wolf pack, 11 animals, experienced hunters operating in territory they had held for years, encountered a hiking trail crossing their usual route, fresh humans scent on the ground, boot prints in the mud. The pack stopped. The alpha moved forward, dropped its nose to the trail, and held position for nearly 30 seconds. Then it turned and led the entire pack 300 meters around the trail before continuing in the original direction. They added a half-mile to their journey to avoid walking where humans had walked hours earlier. 1 week later, a single coyote was filmed on that same camera trotting directly down the center of the same trail, pausing occasionally to investigate the human scent markings, then continuing forward without changing direction at all. Same scent, same location, completely opposite behavioral responses from two animals that share enough DNA to produce fertile hybrid offspring. The gap between those two responses is not about bravery. It is not about intelligence. It is about two different evolutionary educations running on the same landscape at the same time. Start with what human scent actually represents to a large predator operating in North America. Wolves and humans have shared the same ecosystems for tens of thousands of years. For most of that history, the relationship was straightforwardly dangerous for wolves. Humans killed wolves, not occasionally, systematically, across centuries of European settlement in North America alone. Wolves were poisoned, trapped, shot, and deliberately driven to extinction across most of their original range. By 1970, wolves had been eliminated from more than 95% of the continental United States. That timeline matters because evolution operates on population-level outcomes. The wolves that survived into the 20th century were not a random sample of the original wolf population. They were the descendants of animals that, generation after generation, had correctly identified human presence as a terminal threat and responded by creating maximum distance. Human scent became a survival signal over hundreds of years of selection pressure. The wolves that ignored it didn't leave descendants. The ones that treated it as a hard boundary did. Coyotes experienced a completely different version of the same history, where wolf management policy was elimination. Coyote management across the same period was suppression. Coyotes were hunted, trapped, and poisoned throughout the 20th century at a scale that should have produced similar avoidance behavior. It produced the opposite. Researchers studying coyote population dynamics have documented something that has no real parallel in large predator biology. Active persecution of coyotes appears to increase their population density and geographic range rather than reduce it. Kill coyotes in a territory and the remaining animals increase their litter sizes. Disperse a coyote population and the animals colonize new territory faster than the pressure can follow them. Coyotes did not survive human persecution by avoiding humans. They survived by adapting to it, by learning to operate in human-modified landscapes, in suburban edges, in city parks, in agricultural land, in spaces where wolves cannot function at all. For a coyote, human scent does not signal terminal danger. It signals a landscape that has already been modified in ways coyotes have learned to exploit. There is a body size calculation running underneath all of this that rarely gets examined directly. A wolf is a large animal. An adult male in Yellowstone runs between 100 and 130 pounds. It requires significant territory, significant prey, and significant energetic investment to survive. A wolf cannot compress its ecological requirements to fit a smaller or more disturbed landscape. It needs intact wilderness to function. That size makes it permanently vulnerable to human pressure in a way a coyote is not. A wolf that enters human-dominated territory cannot hide effectively, cannot find sufficient prey, cannot maintain pack structure across the fragmented corridors that separate protected areas from developed land. A coyote weighs 25 to 35 pounds. It can survive on mice, rabbits, fruit, garbage, and insects. It can maintain a home range inside a suburban neighborhood. It can raise pups under a backyard deck. The wolf size locked it into a relationship with intact wilderness and made human proximity existentially threatening. The coyote's size allowed it to treat human proximity as an opportunity rather than a threat. But there is one more layer underneath all of this that the Yellowstone trail camera footage makes visible if you know what to look for. The wolf pack that detoured around the hiking trail was not displaying fear in any simple sense. It was displaying risk management at a level of sophistication that researchers who study wolf cognition find difficult to fully account for. Wolves operating packs with long social memories. An alpha that led its pack through a territory where human contact resulted in injury or death carries that information forward in its behavioral decisions for years. The avoidance behavior documented in Yellowstone is not an instinctive flinch. It is a learned and socially transmitted response being applied across the entire pack based on information that may have originated generations earlier. Coyotes learn too, but what they have learned from the same human presence is different information. They have learned that where humans are, food sources follow, that human landscapes are resource-rich environments that larger predators have been pushed out of. They learned the opposite lesson from the same teacher, which brings everything back to those two trail camera clips from the same location 1 week apart. The wolf pack that walked 300 meters out of its way was not being timid. It was executing a risk calculation refined across centuries of accurate feedback about what human presence leads to for a large predator in North America. The coyote that walked directly down the center of the trail was not being reckless. It was executing its own calculation, equally refined across the same period, about what human presence leads to for a small, adaptable generalist that has learned to treat the human footprint as a resource map. Same scent, same trail. Two animals reading the same signal through the lens of entirely different evolutionary histories. One learned that humans are the most dangerous thing on the landscape. The other learned that wherever humans go, opportunity follows. Both of them were right.